Hey guys, I keep getting asked what I think about this Bin Laden thing. I'm hesitant to address it. I'm not going to address it on my other channel because it has zero to do with Japan. And I'm hesitant to address it here because I've fallen into this trap before. People ask me what I think about things, and then if I give an answer that's not the mainstream approved answer, these people that come from the countries that are all so proud of the fact that they have free speech and that we can say what we want, some of them become quite psychotic in their abuse and stalking and carry on. You know, as an example, I was asked by many people what I thought of The Cove when it was first released, and I made a video saying that I thought dolphin killing should stop, but I thought that The Cove movie would not work in Japan because it wasn't made in a way that would work with Japanese people. It was too aggressive, basically. And that proved to be correct. It didn't work in Japan. But I've had the most amazing psycho stalking. I've been called every name, every abusive name you could possibly think of. They've made derogatory comments about my wife, who they know nothing about. Threatened to kill me. So these countries that are so proud of the fact that we have free speech and we can say what we want. I have more free speech in Japan. And I can express my opinion more freely in Japan with less fear of attack than from the other countries outside Japan that are so proud of their freedoms, So I'm hesitant to comment, but here we go. I don't think... I understand killing Bin Laden has made a lot of people happy. Australia, a lot of Australians were killed by Al-Qaeda as well. Both in New York and also in Bali. There was some bombings in Bali by Al-Qaeda that killed lots of Australians. So there's lots of Australians that would be pleased to see him dead as well. And I totally understand why lots of Americans are happy that he's been killed, because it's revenge and retribution. And I can understand why they're happy about that. That's totally understandable. I don't think it's going to make Americans or anybody else around the world any safer. In actual fact, I think it's more likely to make everybody less safe, because the way a lot of those extremists see it is that being killed doing that shit is good. They go to heaven for it. And the way the people in their groups see it is that when something like, in this case, when someone like him is killed, all his supporters call him a martyr and think even more of him as a result, and it motivates them to do more radical stuff. So I think as a result of the American army going into another country again without permission again and killing people again, I think is going to result in some retribution. Unfortunately, I think that that sort of behaviour is actually why a lot of these extremists are wanting to kill people. They're wanting Australians dead as well, and they're wanting English people dead as well, and there's some in Spain that want Spanish people dead as well. But you will notice that most of the aggression and anger is aimed at America, and it's because of the American I believe it's because of the American foreign policy of going into other countries and, whatever. If we can just look at it from the other outside point of view for a moment, I understand what America says its motivations are for doing that, but if you look at it from the people that want to kill Americans, one of the reasons is that they say is that they keep seeing Americans going into particularly Islamic countries without permission and doing stuff that usually results in people dying. So I think every time that happens, there's another bunch of people, or a whole heap more people, wanting Americans dead. And I wish this wasn't true, but I really think it is. So I really think that going to Pakistan without permission and killing Bin Laden and those other people, the way that Al-Qaeda works, it's not like Hitler and the Nazis, and it's not even like Saddam and Iraq, where if you take the leader out, that makes it less effective. Al-Qaeda's not like that. It's a whole heap of different groups. And, I don't believe that the last 10 or 11 years that you know, he's been sitting around there in Pakistan controlling everything Al Qaeda do. But, you know, I don't believe that. I think most of those Al Qaeda groups operate independently, and I think most of the experts have said the same thing. And I think taking out bin Laden isn't going to change that. It's just going to give them another excuse or another focus to do more of their crazy shit. So, you know, the answer to the question, you know, what do you think about bin Laden being dead? Well, yeah, understandable why Americans are happy about it, but from the Muslimic, the extremist Muslims, the ones that are already wanting Americans dead, I believe they'll have more people joining them now. Just if you look at it from the outsider's point of view, from their point of view, you know, I remember after 9/11, there was images of people in the streets, Islamics in the street, extremists in the street, you know, Allah Akbar, and you know, all the Americans are dead, Allah Akbar. And I remember thinking that was a terrible scene, that, you know, people be rejoicing that lots of people have been killed. But what have we seen this week? USA, number one, USA, number one. And I don't think it's a real good way to react to people being killed. Totally understandable, I understand it, but again, if we really want to understand why so many people are wanting to kill Americans, I think we really need to try and look at it from their point of view, you know, and until we do that, I don't think it's going to stop, you know, and thinking, okay, we'll go into these countries and kill people and that'll stop it. It's not working, is it? Every time they go into another country, and you guys would be the same, I'm sure if some other country, and look how you reacted to New York, and that's what these guys are doing. I'm sure there's people in these countries that didn't really care about America either way, until some American plane flew over and dropped a bomb, and their neighbours died, and some of their family members died, and then they're saying, right, that's it, I'm going to start killing Americans too. Every time the American army goes into another country, I think it's just making another group of people angry, you know? And that's the excuse Al Qaeda and people like that use, is that all those extreme nutbags are using the fact that America's in all these other countries as an excuse. You know, we have to fight the imperial aggressor. We have to get America out of these Islamic countries. They shouldn't be there. You know, they shouldn't be in Egypt. They shouldn't be in these other countries. So, you know, just my opinion, guys. And, you know, I'm not going to face a whole heap of abuse about this. It's just my opinion. And I was asked my opinion, and there it is. So, to be honest, I think it's the aggression and the lack of tolerance for other people's opinion that's a big part of the problem. If you want to know why so many people are wanting to kill Americans, I think the abuse that people get on YouTube for expressing their opinion is a small example. You know, it's a small example of the intolerance for a country that claims to be so, you know, all about free expression and express your opinion and say what you think. That's true, you can, but look at what happens. You get kicked in the guts for it. You know, the reality is that if people do express an opinion that's not mainstream, look what happens to them. It's not an example of tolerance, and I'm sure already below this video there's examples of exactly what I'm talking about. You know, a country like Japan, you can express a different opinion and you won't get abused and death threats for it. You know, what sort of country says that, you know, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, but if you dare express an opinion that's different from everybody else's, you get death threats and abuse and carry on. Admittedly from the extremists, but isn't that what we're talking about with the Islamists too? It's not the average Muslim that's the problem, it's the extremist. Well, I think there's extremists on both sides of the fence, and I think that's what's causing the problem. So, anyway, I was asked my opinion. There it is. Let's check the comments below and see what the result was. More videos coming soon.